In a recent discussion on swivel knives, I gave my opinion of what's the best swivel knife. That's a different discussion. But somebody then asked if I could explain the different terms. So I first spoke about a wide straight blade. So you can see it's a 90-degree angle that this blade has, and it is fairly wide. And probably it's the blade that's in all the starter kits and so on. And I have seen a master do very small cuts with this, very small indeed, so which adds to the fact that I say it's what you get used to. I use the straight blade for long, straight, narrow cuts. That is what I primarily use it for. Then there is also this one, which is I probably pick up more often, also a straight 90-degree blade, but it is a ceramic blade, so that's really nice. The straight blades also come like this one in, it's still a 90-degree wide blade, but it is hollow ground like that. I think it's easier to sharpen, etc. And probably doesn't give that wide a groove. But there it is. Then old acquisition, or an old one, was the ever popular ruby blades with a ruby gemstone glued to the front of the blade. Very, very popular if you can find them. But I have gone through a few of these. Two, I think, that has broken on me, where whatever glue is on or keeps it on stuck onto the blade has come loose. So I'm kind of careful when I use these, but they are very nice to use. Now then, I recently acquired a batch of old tools where I found this one. And you can see it's got a see-through crystal or glass or whatever blade, I don't know. That was looks like it was epoxied in there. Very nice thick barrel to this knife, probably its original housing. But this blade is just incredibly fantastic. It even surpasses the ruby blade in the ease with which it cuts. So, and this set of tools was from the 60s and 70s. So, and I didn't even polish that blade before I picked it up to test it, and it's really, really, really a nice blade. So probably there next to the ceramic one, the one that I pick up most nowadays. The straight blades had a narrower version too. So you can see in the classic straight blade, there is the narrower version. And I think purposefully, I think it's kind of the same. You'd probably have a bit more maneuverability on this one, but for me, kind of the same deal, just narrower. And the narrower one has a hollow ground version as well. There, so. Okay, so then in a narrower blade, there's also one with an angle to it. Now this particular swivel knife and blade is the combination that I started with doing leatherwork in 1978. And that was the blade I bought, that was the swivel knife it came in, and I just got used to working with it. I polished it a lot, and it got out of shape a bit, but I put it in a tool and put it on a stone and reshaped it, gave it a fresh new shape. So that's a handy one nowadays. This guy is relegated to be in my own tool museum, which is just a wooden box with my first tools in. I more often than not pick up the ceramic version of that. As you can see, also a blade with an angle. And the angle makes it much easier to negotiate small detail. Of course, then the smaller the detail, the less deep you cut, the shallower your cuts go. But that is made easier with the angled blade. Then you can keep the swivel knife fairly upright, and the blade gives you the cutting handle. Okay, and that one also has a ruby version. So also super nice to work with. Right. Then there is, and I've only got one of them, and that's a ceramic version. It's also a narrow blade, with an angle, same as this one, but this is a filigree blade. In other words, you'll see that its profile this way is much, much thinner. And it is meant to really cut through a leather so that you can do filigree work where you cut out a whole piece of leather. So it can cut quite deeper than the other if you really put some force behind it, because it is not that thick, the blade. Okay, then kind of right there with those is a swivel knife that accompanied the wide glass one. Is a mini blade. It is wide. It is very wide, but it is tiny. It is really small. And so I've at times used this one for detailed work as well. It also cuts like it's cutting through butter. Really, really, really nice to work with this little guy. So really a valued tool for both of these at this minute. There is a mini one currently still being sold for really small work. It has a very small blade. It's thin as well, but it's not a filigree blade. It is just made for very small detail. So it would be good for small decorative cuts, for all sorts of decoration if you want. You can choose. It really is a nice little blade that you can play with. Okay, so there it is. You don't have to have a collection like that. I usually say if you can get to learn how to work with the straight guy and then an angled one like that, whether it's ceramic or metal, just keep it stropped and lots of fun in there. I hope this helped. Take care. Bye-bye.